You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
Chris, the Batter fans are back. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 48 of the Batter MLS Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me, I got Mr. KBD. You ready to run down these games?
Let's go, man. Better week than last.
Yes. All right. So let's start with the game of the week, which what people thought was going to be the game of the week. Inter Miami, Columbus. Ended up being a low-scoring game, 1-0. And, I mean, it kind of played out. A lot of people after the game thought that Columbus could have won, right? They could have put up 4 or 5. Obviously, Inter Miami was playing a low block that entire second half, and that's why it led to so many opportunities for Columbus. I think that if Columbus ties it, maybe the rest of the game plays out a little differently. Your thoughts on Columbus, Miami?
Well, it was good to see a homegrown Benjamin Kremaki get a goal. It's something that he's been probably, waiting for this whole season. And Gazdag, I mean, what a way to blow an opportunity. It was a great cross on a sliding sort of
He had a few chances.
strike. Yes, he did. But towards the end of the game, he kind of blew it. And he's going to get really good opportunities coming this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing Gazdag and his performance.
But I honestly think that this game showed where Cucho is missing, right? Because everybody's like, oh, but they're doing good without Cucho and Christian Ramirez. Cucho lands a few of those opportunities. Diego Rossi had a point-blank shot, in my opinion, that he flew over the crossbar. I thought that although Miami ended up winning, I wasn't a fan of the Inter Miami game plan. They give up possession, but the way that they kind of just defended the whole second half wasn't great. Yeah. But they are now the only undefeated team in the league. And Columbus, I mean, I guess people still, I mean, they are still a good team, but I think you can finally see that they're missing that finisher because Russell Rowe also had some opportunities that he missed.
Yes, he did. I mean, they're going to connect at some point, but we'll see.
Especially with Gazdag. Gazdag will eventually get it going. All right. Austin FC beats the LA Galaxy 1-0. Your thoughts on Austin beating LA Galaxy? And this one, they were making a big deal about Uzuni playing wide left. It kind of they changed to a 4-3-3, which is supposedly going to help them offensively. I mean, I guess it kind of did.
Well, I mean, Austin, at least they recovered from their beating from Vancouver, right? They walked away with a win on this one. Gabriel Peck, like the fact that he is like one of the, it's literally the generating factor for LA Galaxy. I know that Austin Orion almost converted like a little baby bicycle early in the game. Vasquez, he missed a header in the game. There was a good through ball for Vasquez. I mean, Vasquez, I don't know, dude. He got the goal at the end, but he doesn't seem like he's comfortable.
Well, he had that one really good season in Cincinnati, and ever since he went to Mexico, people kind of down on him. He just hasn't been producing the way people expected him to do after that season over there in Cincinnati. But Austin
and he got blocked on the penalty.
Well, that's right. He did take a penalty, and he got blocked. So Brandon Vasquez not looking great, but the LA Galaxy, like, can I take a second to talk about the Galaxy? Defending champs, I get it. Gabriel Peck was the team, but can he win an MVP without winning a game? Because he is proving that he is by far the most valuable player. Because it should be ridiculous that you're 9 games into the season and you can't win one game. Even Toronto won a game. Like, you can't win one game. Like, that team isn't horrible. Gabriel, Ricky Pooch is the only player missing at the moment. Everybody else is back.
Oh, and I have a feeling that this is going to look like night and day, this squad, when he comes back, when Ricky Pooch comes back.
But it has to be too late, though. Because if they can't muster up any wins, they're going to be way too far. Everybody's like, oh, they'll still make the playoffs. I don't know. I think they're sinking themselves a way too deep a hole. Then we had Montreal, Orlando. Your thoughts on this snooze fest?
Yeah, this was absolutely awful. I mean, the good thing is I saw a lot of blocks. For those of you, check out our channel. We have a goalie block video that we put. It's super good. A lot of blocks in this game. There was our boy Bryce Duke almost had an opportunity. And I mean, look, there was a couple opportunities here and there. Galese makes a lot of good stops. He made a good adjustment to stop a shot. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Orlando because Montreal actually looked better offensively.
I remember a couple weeks ago, Orlando and Philadelphia were going to play, and they were the two highest scoring offenses, and we got really excited. Oh, this is going to be the game of the week.
Yeah.
That game's going to end like 4-3. Orlando has now gone 3 games without scoring after we hyped up that game against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia also hasn't looked great. I forget how many goals they scored in the last 3 weeks. So the beautiful thing about the MLS is that there's so much parity that from week to week things change. But Orlando has taken quite the dip over the last 3 weeks, gone scoreless, drawing with Montreal is wild because Montreal is a really bad team, and you would expect Orlando to come out with the dub. But right now, Orlando sits at 3 wins, 4 draws, 2 losses. But a draw on the road in the MLS, it's not the ideal when you're playing against Montreal, but it's something.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
No, I was going to move on to this game. Charlotte move over to San Diego, and Charlotte against each other. Charlotte is 3-0, gets the win. I mean, what I saw here, first of all, just on the San Diego side, McVay started at left back, and Negri was on the bench. So that was interesting to me. There was a red card. It was a huge tackle that led to a penalty kick for Charlotte, and Algerman converted on that easy.
Andre Reyes was the one that had that PK, which is formerly from the Red Bulls last year. He got that stomach virus or whatever the night before or the morning of the final, which why the Red Bulls fans started hating him, and he ended up going to San Diego. Also played for Miami. Now, what was funny is that he got that foul. He got a red card, a straight red, and they went back. They reviewed it. They still called it a PK, but then they said, okay, it's not a red anymore. Now it's a yellow, but it's a second yellow, so it's still a red. So it was silly. Yeah, the referee changed, but it was silly. Regardless, it was still a penalty. And what I took out of this is Pep Biel is currently the MVP of the league. Yes. Nobody's talking about him, but what he's doing for Charlotte right now, like he is that first goal to Albada, he was dancing around defenders. I don't know how he got the ball through, but he got a beautiful through ball over to Albada. He finished. Shout out to Pep Biel, because Pep Biel is at the moment, in my opinion. And I was having this discussion with Will from MLS Moves last week, where he was telling me that it was Diego Rossi, and I said it's Pep Biel. I think after this week, more people are going towards the Pep Biel talk. Your boys, New England Revolution, get their 3rd win of the season at this point, and Campana gets his first goal. Your thoughts on this NYCFC loss to the New England Revolution?
Well, at first goal in open play for New England, Campana ends up getting
8 games in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and 2 minutes in, actually, Campana made a difference. He made a great run. He got blocked, but
he
later
kicked
on,
it right into Freeze's stomach.
He made a great run. I'm saying he got blocked. Okay,
he didn't get blocked. He kicked it into his stomach.
He got blocked. The shot got blocked. So Campana ends up scoring later, which is great for his confidence. You also had a good goal by Ganago. It's basically a play from the training grounds where I guess like it was a lead cross to Ganago, sliding goal. It was a really good play. So
NYCFC is in trouble. Maxi Morales can't provide in the midfield with Santi Rodriguez left. And it's starting to show. NYCFC is going to have a hard time, I think, getting things together. I think I might have forgotten to put the clock, but that's it. So NYCFC, Campana gets his first goal. They get their first 2 run of game goals. So run of play goals. I'm sorry. So shout out to New England. Maybe finally getting some things together. Moving on, DC United, New York Red Bulls. DC United gets their 2nd win. And Peglo had a beautiful goal where he kind of flicked it back to himself and scored after Benteke left the game. Your thoughts on DC United, New York Red Bulls?
Listen, Peglo had 2 great goals. He had that one, and then if I'm not mistaken, I think Peglo ended up bicycle kicking it after the cross.
From a weird angle, too.
Yes. By the way, I'm working on the top 5 goals. Those 2 goals are going to be part of the top 5 goals. Okay. Choupo-Moting, he took a shot. It deflected off the defender, bounced off the bar. That was a little bit after in the second half. But as far as like the game is concerned, DC United did pretty well without Peglo. So, I mean, without Benteke, yes.
Now the New York Red Bulls are 3-3-3. I think people were
How Red
expecting
Bulls is
more
that?
from them. Yeah, I think people were expecting a little more from them, from that run that they made to the finals last year. But they like you said, how Red Bulls is that of them? In this game, DC United had 33% of the possession. They got 12 shots off. The Red Bulls just couldn't do it, and Lewis Morgan still isn't back, which I think is a big reason why they might be suffering also, because Lewis Morgan
absolutely.
is a main cog in any offense. So we miss Lewis Morgan out here. They miss him up there. So let me move on to the next game, which is your boys. The Philadelphia Union beat the Atlanta United. Where do you want to start, Chris? Because Atlanta is just terrible.
I mean, Atlanta looked better after the red card, I guess. But before that, it was a disaster. There was one play that in particular really stood out to me. Huge miscommunication in the midfield. Don't know who's supposed to get it. It leads to a huge quick counter. Luckily, they didn't get a goal. But, I mean, aside from that, Philly ended up getting 3 goals in the game.
Philadelphia finally putting up 3 again, right? Because they've been a little lackluster after the wild start. They have Quinn Sullivan, like we said it at the beginning of the year.
Smash.
And Kevin Sullivan was the Sullivan that everybody was talking about before this year, right? He's a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, whatever. Quinn Sullivan is an absolute baller, and he needs to be talked about more. He is so far the heart of that Philadelphia team. But Atlanta, we had Tommy on last week, and we were talking about the biggest disappointments. Atlanta has to be the biggest disappointment, because Atlanta is not only looking really bad, but they're looking really bad, and just so you get
not
an
scoring.
Idea. And after all the hype about how good that offense was going to be, let me tell you real quick the teams that they're going to play against. After this week against Philadelphia, they're playing against Orlando, which should be a good team, right? Even though they've had 3 games, they're due to score finally. Then you got Nashville, which has played much better recently. Then you got Chicago, and you got Austin, Philadelphia again, Cincinnati, and then again Orlando. The next 7 matches, like there's no gimmies there. Like there's no Montreal, there's no Toronto coming up.
Well, Orlando's allowed a lot of goals, so maybe if they get into a goal battle with them, just to get some of the boost up, but like to have 0 goals against Philly, like, and on top of that, Schleets had a terrible pass late in the game that led to a Baribo header goal.
Atlanta is just looking, and Tommy told us that there was a fight in the locker room last week at some point. Like that team, if they don't get it together soon, it's going to be a big problem. And Ronnie Dahlia is I'm sure going to have an issue there. The new coach. Now, Seattle, it is the 8th wonder of the world. Nobody really understands how they do it. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers of the MLS. They are now 3-3-3. They beat Nashville, which was recently surging, 3-0. And all of a sudden, you can now see Seattle somehow creeping into the playoff picture where everybody left for dead just a week or 2 ago.
Well, look, we all know that Seattle's gonna make the surge to be a better team. Nashville, this game, I felt like was really non-existent. There was a nice cross, I guess, just speaking from a Nashville perspective, in the 33rd minute where the header was blocked. But aside from that, Seattle got an early goal around the 20th minute with a cross that led to a shot. And then on top of that, you also had, what's his name, Rothrock. He ends up putting a goal down at the end of the game. Well, not towards the end, but the end of the half. Morris, as far as any negative I could see for Seattle, Morris had like 2 or 3 attempts after coming off the bench, and he didn't convert on any of them. Yeah, but he's coming back from injury. He had 2 or 3 open, pretty decent attempts, and he blew them.
Well, I'm a big fan of Rothrock. Ferreira had a decent game finally, because Ferreira has been the biggest culprit as to why we think that this team has been bad, because he's just been a ghost. But he's looked better. Pedro de la Vega had a banger, and he played a good game also. Seattle finally looked good in the attack. They finally looked good, and we'll see if they can keep this up. I mean, I expect them in the playoffs. Will they be shooting up the Western Conference standings? Maybe, because the Western Conference is such a mess right now. But good showing by Seattle, and Nashville's such a question mark to me. I don't know if to take them seriously as they're good or they're not. They're just not consistent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, here we go. Another big game between two good teams, Cincinnati and Chicago. Cincinnati wins this game 3-2. Now, Nick from the Glass House Soccer covers Chicago. He was expressing that he was frustrated that first goal that Cincinnati scored came when one of the defenders or one of their players got tripped by the ref, which led to a transition by Cincinnati. And by the way, Evander still scored a beautiful goal. It was like a raindrop over the Joe Dirt. But Evander looking like an MVP. Chris, your thoughts on Cincinnati, Chicago?
Yeah, that was a big bad play. I mean, other than that, Chicago, they kind of messed it up for themselves too, because in the 42nd minute, a blunder on a pass literally leads to Denke getting the goal for Cincinnati. And then in the 71st minute, Chicago also had another blunderous pass, bad turnover in the midfield. That led to Evander scoring. So if there's any fingers to be pointed, it's got to be pointed to the midfield.
Now, that last goal that Evander scored was a wild little angle. The way he kind of just snuck it by Joe Dirt, our boy Chris Brady, which we are big fans of on this show. But Evander, watching him play, like he is a baller, and he's another one that needs to be talked about in the MVP conversation. I need to figure out who my MVP candidates are. We are officially a quarter of the way through the season. We're 9 games in for most teams, and there's only 34 games. So we are just about a little over a quarter of the way through. So I think it's safe to talk about some MVP candidates. Houston Dynamo, Colorado Rapids. 2-2 draw. Houston ties it at the death, basically, with it was a long ball that went to the left side of the box. I forgot who it was. Somebody headed it back to the middle of the box, and it got headed home. Houston's ties for the 4th time this year. Colorado, they should be 5-2-2. Your thoughts on this game?
Well, other than that, Mihailovic converted on a pen. He also had a really good opportunity on the 20th minute. Atencio had a beautiful pass ahead to Navajo. There was a chip that almost went over the goalie on the 22nd minute.
Navajo had a few chances in the first half that he didn't convert, and that's why he got saved, that he finally converted in the second half. Yeah,
and I mean, for Houston, I mean, Bassi ended up smashing. There was a pass from sideline to sideline, right back in the middle, and Bassi ended up smashing that to be able to get the goal in for that. But the fact that they won in the dying embers of the game, or at least they were able to tie it,
salvage the point. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
But that's one of those things where Colorado players leave and they feel like they lost because they should have won that game.
Absolutely.
All right, Minnesota, FC Dallas, 0-0. Your thoughts on this scoreless dud?
So we can finish this in less than 60 seconds. Like, this game, I have less notes than ever. Dallas, they had Lucho on the bench. There was some pretty decent opportunities for Dallas in the beginning, early. As far as for Minnesota, Harvey had a really good cross around 72nd, 73rd minute that almost led to a goal, like a sliding kick goal, and they didn't convert. But this game was a dud for me. And that's considering I thought Minnesota was packing a punch this season.
They are. I'm really surprised at the result. And like you said, Peter Musa didn't play. Lucho Costa didn't start. He played for the last half hour or so.
Yes.
So a dud overall. But I'm surprised that Minnesota couldn't beat a team like this. Here we go.
Krabs says it. This week we had both hits and misses. So
yeah, there's a lot of draws. St. Louis, Vancouver, Whitecaps. Now, some people might see this score and might assume that Vancouver rotated their roster. They did not. They went Inter Miami Mascherano route. and they started their players, but St. Louis defends like no other team, and it ended up being a 0-0 draw. Your thoughts on the Whitecaps, St. Louis?
So my commentary is going to be basically Vancouver driven. Okay.
Okay.
Berhalter is such a great creator, like underrated the way that he creates. And Brian White almost had an opportunity late in the game off of a great through pass. He couldn't convert on it. But there was a play that's mentioned, and it was put all over Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, a really good build-up play for St. Louis. Well, there was a pass across to Hartel. Hartel was on an island, puts it in goal, but then it was called offsides. It was the worst offsides goal I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm gonna have to go back and clip it just to put it on our channel, but it was one of the worst plays. But Berhalter, man, he is a badass.
Yeah, man, I think he might be the most underrated player in the league, and I know that's saying a lot because there's a lot of underrated players, but I think it's his name that might be like that crucifix behind him because he is a baller. I like to watch him play. The way he creates and just the pinpoint passing from. Toronto wins their first game of the year against Real Salt Lake. Your thoughts on Toronto's first victory?
Well, look, Toronto, I'm very proud of them. Finally, they get a win. Okay. I'm very happy because Sean Johnson walks away with a decent smile on his face. RSL, I don't know what's happening. RSL had a big blunder again, like in the 9th minute. They get stolen off a turnover, and that's when that's when Corbinell puts it away in the 9th minute early. And also Diego Luna almost got DDT'd by Bernadeschi. There was a play.
He got the red card,
Yes, literally almost DDT'd him. So there was a bear hug in the corner. Like, it was a disaster for Luna.
Yeah, he got sent away, and RSL have no draws. They're either winning or losing. 3 wins, 6 losses, and that's it. I like it that way.
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
All right. 2 games to go. We got Toronto. 2
of the most entertaining games, by the way.
Yep. The most entertaining for last. So Portland, LAFC, Bologna. Yes, I did mention your name because I was you missed the Atlanta talk. I was pooping all over them. LAFC, Giroud should have had a brace or even a hat trick. He got 2 goals called offside, which I thought, at least the second one, I thought was onside. And then Giroud finally gets a goal, his first goal in the regular season off a free kick. Your thoughts on the Portland LAFC game?
Boanga also got his goal within the minute and a half, called offsides. As far as like the play, Portland, there was a play where Kamal Miller was defending super high, and it left a whole space for Giroud to pass it to Boanga, who again was called offsides. Now Anthony, I'll tell you something about Anthony. Okay, Anthony is a really good player for Portland, and hopefully they can be able to find a way to work around him or make plays or do things for him, because he's somebody that can be a game changer for them.
Well, I mean, recently we were talking about how the majority of his goals were against Colorado. Now he's spreading it around, and he's playing overall well. He's played well. Mora, I know he got. Did he get 2 goals? Yeah, he got the penalty also. So Lloris for some reason just tackled him.
Yeah, I mean, at the end there was like a red card rain attack by the ref. He started just red carding everybody. But also, Boanga converts the pen to tie. Listen, Portland effed that one up at the end, because there was that penalty at the end led to literally another goal that tied the game.
They should have won that game, but LAFC's coming on strong. Look, 4-1-4. They should be 5-0-4. So LAFC, they're going to make their way up the ranking soon, especially after Cherundolo. But he came out last Friday and said he's not coming back next year.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's not necessarily a coaching change, but I've told you, whenever there's a coaching change, teams just pick it up. And maybe that's going to give them some life. Like, let's fight for our coach because he's not going to be here next year. But like we said, coaching changes make a huge difference.
Yes, it does.
Sporting KC, Peter Vermees gone. All of a sudden, Sporting KC is dropping 5 on San Jose's head. Blacatao. Your thoughts on Sporting KC putting 5 on San Jose?
So let me give you an inside look on my notes. I wrote down WTF is wrong with San Jose defense. SKC with 5 goals, really? I mean, this is something that was completely unexpected. And on top of that, San Jose ends up scoring 3. So, like, if you went to that game, it must have been one of your favorite games to watch. It was a lot of good play by SKC. It's like you said, the coach makes a difference, I guess. And Dembe scores off of a tough angle early. It was really good ball distribution by SKC. And also, there was a great goalkeeper pass that catches San Jose sleeping. It leads to a goal for Saloi. It was a really entertaining game.
As you can see, the cops are coming for that San Jose defense.
Yes. Criminal.
If you were to go watch that game, you could literally start watching from the 18th minute. They scored 3 goals and Sporting KC between minutes 18 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then San Jose scored in the 30th minute. In the 12-minute span, there were 4 goals scored.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
Very, very fun, exciting game.
And I also wanted to mention Joseph literally schooled the goalkeeper to lead it to a penalty. And the fact that Arango gets to be able to take the pen, I was really upset. Why Joseph didn't take that pen?
I'm surprised that Joseph wouldn't take that. I think Joseph's earned the right with his history in the MLS. But
and there's a pen, the same pen that Arango took. That's another thing I need to clip. He did a penalty kick where it literally showed him freezing, and he was actually running. Aren't you not supposed to like stop your run? That penalty to me looked illegal. So I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at it. Well, I mean, this was in the 94th minute when the foul happened or when he scored. But that penalty, if you look at it and you watch it back, he takes a huge step and literally freezes. I was under the assumption that you had to keep your body in motion to take a penalty kick.
You're not supposed to have that long pause that people are doing. Neymar, like he perfected that art. I remember.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. All right. So let's move on to the team of the week. So, what team do you think would be the team of the week? They had the best performance of the week.
I'm not going to stray too far here, Danny. SKC, Sporting Kansas City, very impressive. Very impressive. Even though San Jose's defense is god awful. But listen, I mean, this is a good turnaround. Sporting Kansas City was literally a laughing stock for the first couple games.
And for everybody saying that San Jose was going to be a top 3 or 4 team, that's what I kept saying. I was like, but the defense was horrible last year, they didn't really improve that. Yeah, they're going to score more, but they're still going to get scored on. Look at them losing the game 5-3. Now, for me, it's Charlotte. San Diego will start off as a top team in the West, even though they're an expansion team. They're still playing one of the better teams, and they went ahead and 3-0. That was a convincing win, although they were home. I thought that was a very convincing win. And we'll move on to go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, the fact that you picked Charlotte is literally the opposite of SKC. Charlotte had a really great defense. They made their offense better, and they're even worse. They're even a crazier threat. Now, San Jose is being a little bit more threatening on offense, but their defense is still a disaster.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as Atlanta's. So, the Que Pena team of the week. Who do you think had the worst showing? You're like, oh, how embarrassing. Que Pena.
I mean, I was gonna go with Atlanta, but I feel like you're gonna go there, so I'll save that one. I'm probably gonna have to go with San Diego. San Diego, I feel like they could have put on a better performance. Offensively, they were garbage. Defensively, they were awful. So this game to me was one of the worst outings this season for San Diego.
All right. Now, I know that Atlanta would almost be like a obvious one for me, right? Because I like to poop on Tommy and Atlanta, especially because they've been doing so bad this year. But I'm not going to go to Atlanta. Philadelphia is a decent team. Although I still think it's embarrassing that they got shut out 3-0. I'm going to go Orlando. Montreal is not a good team, even though you're playing in Montreal.
Yes.
There's 2 reasons why I choose Orlando for being the Que Pena team of the week.
You're better than this.
One, you're better than this. You should beat Montreal, but you are on the road. Fair. But this is the third week in a row that you get shut out.
Yes.
If you get shut out 3 weeks in a row,
what's happening?
It's embarrassing. Que pena. So do better. So we'll see what Orlando cooks up next week, because Orlando takes on Atlanta. So that should be interesting. Orlando and Atlanta, two teams that just haven't recently been looking very good. So somebody's got to come out on top. All right. That was Match Day 9 recap. Chris, do you have any final thoughts?
No, that basically wraps it up. I mean, if we want to talk about what games I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to Nashville versus Chicago. That's going to be next week. That's going to be a good one. And I'm also looking forward.
Colorado, Seattle is going to be good.
Yeah, Colorado, Seattle is going to be good. And Philadelphia versus DC United. I think this is where we're going to see an upswing for Philadelphia. So that's going to be a good game. Let's go, Dupe. And the dude abides. Please guys, like and sub to the channel. If you guys know anybody that's MLS, lovers that love MLS and love the MLS teams, let them know about us, so that way we can be able to help the channel grow, and much appreciated for all of you guys in the chat.
I'm looking forward to Orlando Atlanta, man. I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Ooh.
Another 0-0 draw I would love to see.
Ooh, that's going to be yucky.
All right. Well, if you're listening on audio, we appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Please leave us 5 stars, comment, review, all that good stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. And as always, for those in the chat, we appreciate you hanging out with us for the last hour. Not even an hour. I won't say an hour. For the last 32 minutes. I'm so accustomed to saying an hour. You guys are the best part of the show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. And we'll be back tomorrow for a little roundtable discussion about possible MVPs, surprises, and a lot more. So until the next one. Ooh, and no Latte in Orlando. Ooh.
You guys are cooked.
It's because he has so many yellow cards, dude. He swears to playing on Sundays. He thinks he's wearing pads and plays for the Falcons. Latte. But that should be even more interesting. So I'm looking forward to that game. That's the game I'm looking most forward to this weekend. But we'll be back tomorrow talking a little roundtable MLS. So until the next one, have a good one.
Atlanta's so cooked.